Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're playing chess against Stockfish, but I can use the portals from the game Portal 2. My goal is to win one game. Let's get started with game number 1. Alright, game number 1, we are playing against the strongest engine in the world, Stockfish, but I have the added advantage that I can use these portals from Portal 2. And these portals are great because they can make it such that even if I do play e4, I'm actually playing d4 anyways. Obviously pieces get instantly transported and you can't place portals on squares that already have pieces because then you could just, I don't know, capture the king on the first turn. But what it will do is make it so that basically any space in the fish's position is immediately a weakness. Well, maybe not any space. G7 isn't really a weakness. If I were to place a portal on C3 and then another one on G7, it really doesn't do all that much for me because playing the knight there would just immediately lose it. So I think for the first couple of moves, I'm actually just going to play relatively normal chess and just allow it to basically come forward and, you know, try and develop its pieces and see what happens. Okay, it sort of has this really weird structure going on. I don't really blame it because my first move was literally pawn on e2 to e4, so I have some weird stuff going on as well. But really no weaknesses to speak of, so I'm going to just keep developing my pieces until I actually see an opportunity to strike. Okay, pawn to d5 immediately hits my bishop. You can see we do have some weaknesses here around the king, but the problem is all of those squares are still technically defended by somebody. So I kind of have to wait here, I think. Okay, a5 trying to boot my bishop. I'm going to stop it from doing that. It's playing, frankly, kind of annoying chess. Okay, the knight comes over to e7. Let's castle the king. And it castles its king as well. And I think this is exactly what we were kind of hoping for because now I'm going to play pawn d3. And I think h6 is immediately the weakness that we're going to target. I've also just realized I could just be teleporting pawns and forcing it to sort of open up its position in front of its king. We get knight to f5. The only problem is, though, it has to be a pawn that can move because, say, for instance, I wanted to move this pawn on a4 to h6. I could create, you know, the portal on b5 and another portal on h6, but if I can't actually get the pawn to b5, then it's not really doing anything for me there. Okay, I think the first thing I want to do is get this h3 pawn up to h6. I know it's a pawn in front of my king, but I don't think it's such a big deal that I can't use it as sort of a way to push into Stockfish's position. It does take back with the knight. I think I'm happy to trade off the bishop here. It will almost certainly take back. And then the question is, how do I continue to advance into its position? I can sort of play this like crazy house. I'm going to place this knight on e5. And now I have this really nicely centralized knight. I mean, the cool thing is I don't have to worry about maneuvering my pieces. Like for instance, this rook on b1 can instantly become a rook on h1 by just using one of those portals. So now I'm looking down the semi-open h file and eventually I think I'd want to, hold on a sec. I was going to say eventually I think I'd want to sacrifice on h7 because again, sort of like Crazy House where you can place pieces back onto the board, there aren't that many things stopping me from just placing pieces around the king's opened area. But I'm wondering if I can just sack the knight. Pawn takes back. I would need some sort of piece defending f7, but then dropping the queen on h7 is instantly checkmate. I'm just not sure if it works immediately. Okay, it's not as fast and exciting as I was kind of hoping, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and just double up my rooks. If it does capture my knight, I'm taking on h7. I think it will, right? I was going to say, I think it will capture my knight because it doesn't know that I can use these portals. Only I know that I have these magical portals. Because again, this is the world's strongest engine. So I'd expect that if it knew that I could use the portals, it would just go right back to kicking my butt. So it does in fact take on d4. I think I'm incentivized to just sacrifice because at that point the king would take back. And then what? I can just like teleport my queen to h6. I don't know if I've sacrificed too much material in this attacking endeavor, but I don't think I have. Let's create this little teleportation situation, bring that queen over to h6. King has to walk over to the queen side now, basically. Right, he comes up to f6, that's interesting. I'm gonna play queen to g5, forces the king back to f7, I believe. Oh, back to g7, okay. That's highly amusing. How do I continue this attack? Oh my goodness, you know what I can do? I can place this bishop on a2 and then make a portal on e5, slide this back, boom, it's in check. And I've brought another piece into the attack. Okay, rook comes up to f6. It has to be toast here in a couple of moves. There's no way it survives. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make a portal on d2 and then drop the knight on e8. Gives check. If the queen takes, it drops the rook on f6. And if it doesn't take, then if it doesn't take, I guess it drops the rook on f6 anyways. King slides over. Oh wait, there has to be a checkmate here. I could just take on f6 with like the knight. Definitely not with the queen because then we trade off queens. And I have too amazing of an attack going right now for that. But can I make a portal on g4, drop the queen on g7? King has to take, rook to h8, rook drops back, and no way I get my favorite type of checkmate. Okay, let's create the portals on g4 and g7. That gives a check, forces the king back, of course. It plays it instantly because there's nothing to think about. It was the only legal move. We'll drop the rook back to h8 and give check. Again, it moves instantly, and with that, we do in fact get my favorite type of checkmate. Invented by Isaac Newton when he was sitting under that apple tree. Unfortunately, he did forget about it after the apple hit his head. We do in fact get ladder's mate. With that, we do in fact defeat Stockfish using the portals from Portal 2. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I think this would be a very, very fun two-player variant. It would be a little bit more complex to put together because just playing against Stockfish, I only have to worry about my modifications, but it would still be possible to do. For the time being, this will not be put up onto the website. I have had to temporarily take down the site because somebody was inflating the statistics, making it seem like, you know, I had 9,000 wins with the bot or what have you, which is of course quite a bit of a shame, but I'm hoping that maybe by the end of this weekend I can have that sorted out because I do want to create another section where I have basically the intersection of chess and other games. Portal 2 is just the first thing that comes to mind because I used to watch a lot of Portal 2 content, but if you guys have any ideas of what other games I should intersect with chess, leave it down below. I'm more than happy to try and make a video out of it and hopefully eventually put it on the website once I have that sort of security flaw fixed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.